satisfied.
That sounded great. We're back for another episode of the podcast. What's up, guys? Good evening. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you listened to the last episode, we talked about, or let's think about it question was, if Trevor and I can make a 20-yard field goal, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. We are up to, last time I looked, 58 downloads. We said 100, but we're going to give the people what they want, and we're going to go out when I'm healthy and Trevor's healthy because I'm nursing a bad back and Trevor's nursing a bad knee. We're going to kick those field goals, and we're going to bring it to you.
Excuses, folks. Do you hear this? All these excuses all
It's the
of a
only
sudden.
reason I'd ever miss.
I think that's the only, and it's my right side, too. I'll have zero power. I'll be looking like a little kid out there trying to pop a 20-yard field goal. But that's
We
coming.
might look like that anyways when we're healthy, but
Don't tell him that.
yeah.
But it's coming. Today, we're going to get into another Let's Think About It question revolving around the Lakers' vacant head coaching job. Then we're going to hop into a quick preview of the Timberwolves next season, along with how their season ended, followed by Eastern Conference Finals talk with the Celtics. Jump into an NBA Finals preview real quick. Is it Justin Jefferson? I'm not even kidding. It is.
It's Justin Jefferson.
It's Justin
You could
Jefferson?
just call him JJ.
JJ. We're going to talk about two JJs tonight.
We might-
JJ Redick, which we're going to
okay.
get into in about a minute, and Justin Jefferson. One is about to make $140 million, and then one is going to go sit on the bench and be an absolute, I won't say the word, to LeBron James. So that's how we're going to segue into that.
They're podcast buddies now.
Let's think about it. The vacant Lakers head coaching job. The rumors going around town is JJ Redick is going to possibly be the next coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. What do you think about that?
Quite a bump from coaching his. I don't remember what he said on the podcast. 6th grade.
Was he coaching?
Do you remember?
He coaches like middle schoolers and stuff.
Yeah.
Like
Does
that.
he?
Like, well, I mean his son.
kids, yeah.
his kids.
I didn't know he had kids.
Yeah. I mean, so the interesting thing about JJ Redick, for people who don't know, he's the heir apparent to Christian Laettner, and he's the pappy of Grayson Allen. If you want to look at like Duke legacy sports,
So you are looking at a Duke guy right here, but keep going. I'm here for this.
the white guy the nation hated.
Yep, that is
Basically.
true.
But somehow he's been really the only one that's beaten those allegations and has been somebody that really rallied. And honestly, he's pretty good as an ESPN analyst. Trevor was alluding to the like really good podcast that he's got with LeBron James, which is clearly the lead-in for him as far as getting this job.
So you're saying we just need a podcast and we can get a head coaching job in the NBA?
Exactly.
Boys,
Well, might need to get LeBron on the podcast, and then we can all get head coach.
who did we ask for last time? Who's the commissioner of the NBA?
Adam Silver.
Yeah, we asked. He didn't respond, but we asked.
Of course.
Keep going.
But anyway, so I mean, Redick pretty much appears like he's going to be getting the job. But the other ones that have been kind of floated out there are James Borrego, who's the former Hornets head coach. He's also he was with the Spurs for a long time during their championship runs. Kenny Atkinson coached the Nets for a bit. He's an assistant on Golden State. And then some other names that have gotten floated out there. I should also say Mike Inori, the assistant coach for the Timberwolves, actually did have a brief interview over there. And now he's actually also interviewing for the Cavs head coaching job. So maybe Mike Inori moving on. Scott Brooks, who is the former OKC Thunder head coach, he coached them when they went to the finals, and he was actually the Wizards coach as well. And then some fun ones. Sam Cassell, who's the Boston assistant coach.
Yep.
Jared Dudley, a Mavs assistant coach. So clearly those guys haven't gotten a shot yet. But
Jared Dudley.
Jared Dudley, yes. And the last one that got floated out that I cannot believe is even remotely close is Rajon Rondo, who he also appears on some podcasts I've seen. He also, I think, is due in court in Indiana in a few months. But,
Yeah,
whatever. He's getting floated out there because, of course, he's LeBron's teammate and LeBron's boy. And, we'll see. We'll see how that
Actually
goes.
going for head coach, or was he rumored as an assistant?
It seemed like he was actually rumored for the head coaching gig.
Okay.
But
Rajon Rondo is a head coach. No,
But
he
all-
was a very intelligent, smart
Yeah,
player
he's a very
as a
smart
point guard.
player, but
As a head coach, though. Yeah, who knows how that Indiana thing's going to happen, and we don't need to get into that.
yeah,
Here's my first question. Being a coach for LeBron James, how much coaching do you think is actually being done for his teams?
well, this is what I would call the Eric Spoelstra clause.
Yep.
Because no one would ever say Spoelstra is not an amazing head coach. Like, he's pretty much going to be like the next generation's like Greg Popovich in Miami, apparently,
Well, he's proven that.
with how great of a coach he is. But you look every other place that LeBron has been, and it has just been destroying them. Ty Lue has like clearly gotten a lot of respect. The Clippers gave him an extension. Once the Lakers floated out that they wanted to interview him, so that was pretty interesting.
Is he over there right now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's with the Clippers right now.
He's the head coach.
he looked all right.
Oh.
He got injuries kind of hurt them a bit, but
yeah, no,
He
it's
didn't look too
it's
bad.
it's pretty widely regarded that Ty Lue's a pretty
Frank
great
Vogel was another one.
coach. Well, Frank Vogel
He was
just
with
got
Indy-
fired
He was with Indiana when Indiana was on the run with Paul George and wasn't he? Wasn't he the coach of that team?
Yes, Frank Vogel was also the coach of the Lakers when they won their last title.
Yeah, that was in the bubble, right?
Yeah, so that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. I think it's just the it's two things. It's one, you're the head coach of the Lakers, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
That's a pretty big standing. That's no joke. That's Pat Riley, Phil Jackson kind of stuff to
Yeah.
deal with. And then you have the LeBron James side of this, where as amazing of a basketball player he is, he's pretty clearly a coach killer. I mean,
Yeah.
Mike Brown, maybe you can say he's kind of bounced back a little bit with the Kings, but I mean, that was the first person to really get the full weight of LeBron James.
That was in
destroying him.
Cleveland.
Yeah, in Cleveland. But it doesn't matter who it is. You can hire somebody from ESPN all you want, and maybe JJ Redick. I saw somebody compare, like, maybe JJ Redick will be like Steve Kerr. I was like, maybe, but Steve Kerr was a general manager before he was a head coach. Like, there was some actual front office stuff. He was with those Suns teams when they were rocking and rolling. So, like, there was some institutional knowledge. And also, he happened to inherit some absolutely incredible young athletes. Whoever is taking over this Lakers job is getting the geriatric squad.
Yep.
Like, LeBron might not want to be there much longer. Anthony Davis had an amazing year last year, but he's had an amazing year out of how many years since he's played in the NBA?
always had good years, just injuries over and over and over and over.
I saw something that they might want to trade him. I saw a trade rumor and that we can bring up a little later. I don't know if you guys saw that with the Bulls.
I think that him being in trade rumors has happened every year.
For Zach.
Levine.
Yep, Zach LaVine. Who's their other shooting guard?
Kobe White?
Nope.
DeMar DeRozan?
Yep, DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
And some
Well,
draft
DeMar
picks.
I thought last time we talked DeMar as a free agent.
DeMar's going to be a free agent, so maybe that could have been something earlier in the season.
Maybe.
But I would just say in general, it doesn't matter who the coach of the Lakers is going to be next year. That team is going to stink.
Yeah.
They're going to suck. And LeBron is why I bet LeBron is definitely going to hang JJ Redick out to dry if he ends up being the coach. Like, I don't see a way in this ever getting any better. This is just it's an impossible job.
Yeah.
It's like if you were the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. You have no chance. You have no chances at success in this
That's a
role.
good point.
It's too big of a job. It's too big of a role. You got to manage way too many egos, and you have to deal with Stephen A. Smith yelling about you all the freaking time.
True. LeBron's only got one more year, right? He has a player option this year? Or he has this year and then a player option next year?
I believe he's got a player option for this year.
This year.
Yes.
Okay.
So then
So
he can-
JJ Redick comes in for 1 year, and then LeBron leaves
Yes.
to
Possibly.
do whatever he wants, wherever he wants.
Yeah. That's a real possibility for.
With Bronny roaming around.
Okay. You know what? I think
Just
let's just cap off the let's talk about it thing
Yeah,
with a
that's
little
what
Bronny talk.
I'm ready.
Okay. I feel absolutely horrible for Bronny for having to go through all of this because he's clearly a talented basketball player. There's no doubt. Like, all of his combine stuff is actually pretty impressive. And maybe he's got a pretty good shot at being Davion Mitchell or, like, discount Marcus Smart. Maybe he's got a chance at being a combo guard that's a pretty good defender that could maybe be the 7th or 8th guy on a team.
Yeah.
But he's Bronny James. And his dad has always said that I'm playing with my son at some point. Doesn't matter. That kid is coming up. I'm sure he's got some pressure from his dad to make sure that it works.
His dad always says, "Oh, I want him to be his own person. I want him to do his own thing." I'm like, dude,
he says that
you are
now
pretty
that all
much
the pressure's there.
you're pretty much going to dictate where he goes,
right,
and to what NBA team he goes to.
There's no chance of him being on a G League team next year. I'm telling you that much. LeBron would probably teach him his ways of trading himself out of a situation. Because somebody was like, oh, well, if he got drafted in the second round, in the 50s or 60s or whatever, and then he could be on a development team for a long time, something like that. That's not happening. That's not happening.
True. His stock went from not getting drafted, to 54th right now.
Mm-hmm.
And 54, I think the Lakers pick 55th.
Right.
So, I don't know. And then those Sun rumors with the Suns.
Yeah.
You heard those rumors?
Yeah, the Suns, the Celtics, the Warriors, the everybody has this chance of getting him, and I just think it's so wholly unfair to him.
Yeah.
And the way that this whole thing has happened. And again, I wish nothing but the best for him. It's the same thing of what I thought about for the Ball brothers. How their father talked them up to such an nth degree, and now we're kind of seeing the aftermath of it all. Lonzo can barely walk. He hasn't played in 2 years. LiAngelo, I think, was on a G League team 2 years ago, 1 year ago, and now he's not in the NBA. LaMelo gets hurt, misses so much time.
Yep.
It's starting to look like he's a bit of a cancer for a Charlotte Hornets team. I just can't even fathom that type of pressure that you have. And then he's going to leave USC after a bad year, a pretty bad year.
Yeah.
Not like he only averaged 7 points and, that kind of a thing. I think he averaged 2 points.
I think it was 2 points, a rebound, and maybe an assist.
I thought it was 4, but I don't.
Maybe.
It could be.
He was coming off of a pretty severe heart condition, though, that they had to get checked out. So,
right.
As a player, you go into that kind of subconsciously. No matter, that's always going to be on the back of your mind. Not saying that was the reason, but to not be with that team, because that was a really star-studded recruiting class, to not be with that team all summer, have no chemistry, and not into the flow of things. Coach doesn't get to see you. It makes sense why he had the year he had. So, I hate the transfer portal, and that's going to be a whole different podcast that we can talk about. But I think it's smart that he's leaving that school, and he still has the opportunity to come back to college. Will he? I don't think he will. But here's another thing, and then this is the NIL stuff that we can dig into at another time in another podcast. Where he's probably going to get drafted, he can go back to college and make more money with all his NIL deals through all his sponsorships and stuff.
His dad is also a billionaire.
Yeah.
I don't know if money's the biggest.
I don't think money's the biggest issue, but for anyone else,
but it's embarrassment.
Yeah.
And it's not living up to your potential, and it's having all of this scrutiny on top of you for your entire playing career because your dad is LeBron James.
Yeah.
Listen,
he's in trouble with that. Even if he does really good, if he's not one of the best players, you'd still have that hanging over you.
If he was Bronny James, the accountant, it would be the same thing. Unfortunately, it would be. But I just feel like the whole situation with him has gotten to a point where it's so unfair. And again, I hope he absolutely comes into the NBA and maybe not crushes it right off the bat, but you actually see some incremental things that he's improving on and starts to become more of a late game rotation player, second unit, something like that. But this the pressure and the anxiety of that all, it makes me anxious.
I mean, he could fit an Austin Rivers role, kind of maybe.
He's 6'4". He's got a 6'7" wingspan. He can shoot. He's a good spot-up shooter. He proved that in the combine, like you said. He is freakishly athletic. He's jumping higher than his dad. He had the highest vertical jump at 40.5 inches. He's fast. Someone's going to take a chance on him, and I would take a chance on him.
He's jumping higher than his dad.
But his dad's 6'8", 260.
Yeah.
Like that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
But he can come in and be a good, solid backup point guard late in the game, like you said, I think, and lock down some of those bigger, longer off guards or those shooting guards because he has a 6'7" wingspan and he can move. So it'll be very interesting to kind of see what the Lakers do with their coaching position. I think we're all in agreement that JJ Redick is probably going to get that coming up here soon.
They're going to announce it at the end of the week, probably. Yeah. Like that seems like it's been set in stone for a little while now.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised he wants to jump straight into that. Like,
I think this is his opportunity. He's got LeBron on his side. He's doing a podcast with them. If I was JJ Redick, I would jump at it.
It is like basically like peak of his powers at this moment.
Yeah.
Of like he's the lead on the ESPN crew right now. He's obviously like he's got a couple really good podcasts out there. And I think at some point those guys, they kind of convince themselves, like all those players convince themselves like, well, I played, so I know how to do this. And I am not taking anything away from Redick. I think that podcast he does with LeBron is like pretty incredible as far as like what a game of basketball actually looks like and how fast those dudes think and how incredible it all is. But again, is it going to be a situation where we're going to see a clip a third of the way through next season of exactly what the Lakers did to Darvin Ham, where they just got up and walked away while he's trying to drop a play?
Yeah.
Like, is this just the destiny of this team, especially when things are not going well, because you're going to be relying on D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves and maybe a healthy Anthony Davis and maybe a healthy Rui Hachimura
and who knows, LeBron, he's going into his 21st season next year.
Yeah.
He's going to probably stay healthy. He spends millions of dollars on his body, but you never know at that age.
You don't.
So, yeah, that's wild. That's wild. I'm here for it. I'm excited. And, yeah, to back up real quick, hit that podcast when they're actually talking, like, basketball strategy and all this stuff. I'm sitting there. I'm just like, dang, that's some wild, wild stuff. So, cool. All right, let's hop into it. T-Wolves ended their season. Yeah. Dallas Mavericks knocked them out. They got one game. We all said they weren't going to get swept. What do we think? How did it end? What did you guys like? What you didn't like? And looking forward.
Nobody, as a Minnesota fan, liked that last game.
No. Oh, yeah, that was brutal.
The thing about it was we were done.
And
that was it.
On to the next season.
Yeah.
So moving forward, we know their squad. We know kind of who's getting paid next year and how much money they're going to have to fork up in that, luxury tax? Or is that not next year? Is that the following year?
They're going to be pretty close.
They're going to be close? Okay.
Yeah, they're going to be pretty close for luxury tax because Edwards' new deal kicks in next year. Cat and Gobert, obviously, they have pretty big contracts.
Yep.
I mean, just think about this just by itself. So Ant next year is going to have $42 million on the books. Cat has $49 million on the books, and Gobert has 43.8 on the books. So for those three players, I mean, that's a ton of money.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be over anytime soon. They're in a situation where they're going to have to just roll this team back. I don't know what kind of trades they can make. Again, they got rid of a bunch of their draft capital to get Rudy Gobert. And they have a good rotation, but they ran into an absolute buzzsaw of a team that exploited all of their weaknesses. And I just think you have to take another shot at it with this group that you have, and then hope that maybe you can add some draft capital, or maybe you can get some buyout guys.
Yeah.
After the All-Star game next year.
You also have to remember we're young. Running it back with the same team, a little bit more experienced, could be the difference maker as well.
It is nice that they got this far because of that experience. Because on their team, has Gobert gone anywhere in the playoffs? Did he go anywhere with the Jazz?
Never made
I don't
a
think
no.
so.
Never got to this level before.
So they're all kind of on equal playing field. What about Conley? He's been playing for a while. Did he ever get anywhere?
I think that was his first conference finals.
So they're all on the same playing field when it comes to experience with getting this far in the playoffs.
Yeah, this is all fairly new for all of them, and obviously like Chris Finch, like he was a part of some pretty good teams. He was a part of that Toronto team that went to the finals and was in Denver, and yada yada was a part of some pretty great teams. But like, yeah, this is big time for all of these guys.
Yeah.
And I hope they take it like Dallas did a couple years ago, because Dallas actually made the Western Conference Finals a few years ago. Now they got smacked in that series, and now they've kind of worked themselves back, and they haven't given up all that much. They knew they had to move off of Kristaps Porzingis, who I know we'll talk about later when it comes to the NBA Finals. They added Kyrie. They added all these guys at the deadline this year. They're a team that probably can't recreate this unless they bring all those dudes back.
Yeah.
They're on an all-time heater. Luka is just a man. Everybody
doing
can
wild
disagree with
stuff.
me on this because of how much crap he talks during the games and how abrasive and how much he complains to the refs and all that kind of stuff. I would kill for that guy to be on my team.
And you've mentioned that almost every single game they've played.
I
And I
would
would
love for
agree.
him.
You need a player that plays with that kind of energy and talks crap and he can back it up. So it's not like he's dropping 0 points and talking crap and be like, "Oh, blah, blah, blah," you know what I mean?
Yeah. He's not Patrick Beverly out there. So it's actually nice to see him like
Talking crap's not a big deal in my mind. Like, that's just part of the game. But then you get I shot the ball and I didn't even look if it went in or not. I'm already complaining to the ref. Is the more annoying one.
you got to coach the refs.
Well,
You
he
gotta
does
coach
a,
the
he
refs,
does a
man.
good
That's
job
what
at
he's
that.
doing later. He's becoming the Lakers head coach next year.
That'd be incredible. But
Luka last series 28.8 points, 9.6 rebounds, and 8.8 assists.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not bad.
And Kyrie, we don't need to get into him much, but Kyrie was not too far off of that behind him.
No, he was
Less
amazing
rebounds,
this-
a couple more assists. He was doing really well as well.
But I also do want to say, for just to kind of wrap up this Timberwolves talk a little bit. So during that series, Luka and Kyrie have averaged almost 60 points per game just between the two of them. The other role players on that Dallas team were really not stepping up as much as they had in previous series. Like Derek Lively shot 100%, 16 to 16 from the floor. How many of those were lobs? How many
15.
of those were dunks?
They had to be.
It had to
It
be
had to be
great.
all
everything.
16.
I don't know about all 16,
But
pretty close.
PJ Washington wasn't that great. He was on fire to start those first couple series and didn't do as well. Derek Jones Jr. had some pretty clutch shots. Jaden Hardy came in and was like, "I'm shooting the ball every time I get down there because I might not be able to play anymore." They had some dudes that really stepped up into those roles, but this was Luka and Kyrie. Like maybe this is a good Dwayne Wade, Shaq, Miami Heat comparison for 06. How they just like willed that team to the finals and just destroyed. I mean, just destroyed people on their way up there.
One thing you have to remember, too, is that the only team they didn't really destroy is the Timberwolves. Like, we had, other than the last game.
Yeah,
Don't count the last game. But other than that, we were in there.
close
We were
games.
just throwing away the end of the game.
Close games. We just didn't know how to defend a switch.
Yeah.
Didn't know how to
That's
defend
all.
a switch. Couldn't bring over weak side help for lobs. One last question about the Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards. Very, very, very talented player. I actually really enjoy the way he plays. This is the most I've watched him during these last two series. On here, 24 points per game, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 40% from 3. Was he not aggressive enough in this last series?
He was.
What are your
2
thoughts?
Games. 2 games he was, and then they went away from it and started just feeding Gobert.
What did he have in those 2 games? Do you remember? I know I'm
Um,
trying to pull stats off the top of your guys' head, but
Game 4 was the one we won.
Yep.
I don't think he played that great in the beginning, but the aggressiveness definitely opened things up.
yeah.
Game 3, if I remember right, he also shot not the greatest percentage.
But he got his normal 20, 25, 26. No, the thing is, like, with how...
But that was the one where the Mavericks were just on fire. There was nothing. You weren't stopping them.
Yeah.
With how active he is and how aggressive he can be, there's times where a young team, he just kind of shows it. Like, oh, I'm going to take a couple plays off.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not going to shoot this. Oh, wait, I'm at the rim, but I'm going to look for someone to shoot a three. It's like...
They definitely showed their age in the series, where so many panic-related things of, like, Anthony Edwards driving, and then the double comes, and then he leaves his feet, and he tries to whip the ball across the court, which I do think we have...
To row 4 in the audience.
Exactly, and we have named that pass after him because I feel like he deserves it. It was the Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum now is in the finals, so maybe he gets a little bit of a pass. But, like, Edwards and Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Naz Reid and Cat and all these dudes, you could really see the processes and them not understanding what to do in certain situations. And maybe this is because Chris Finch is sitting in that second row and not able to communicate these things or whatever it is. But we're in those games. We're tight with them. We obviously get blown out in the closeout. But, like, this is what happens when you get close to teams that are dictated by players like Luka and Kyrie. You're never going to beat them. This is like when you try to keep a game close for, like, Steph Curry. He is going to rain 6 threes on your head in the next, like, 12 minutes, and then you're not going to be close at all. You cannot let teams like that get that close. You have to find different ways to divert them.
Which I think also leads to another point that, like, the Mavericks are in a position where they're actually making changes on the fly. We're making changes game to game, but we're not making changes in the middle of it. If we're doing bad, we're just going to suffer the rest of the way through it. That's what was happening.
That last game was so brutal. We don't need to bring it up. That hurt to watch.
But I'm still an optimist.
I love it.
This has not crushed me at all because I feel great about that team going into next year. I feel absolutely great. Their contracts are good. Obviously the coaching staff is coming back. Maybe their style of play has maybe convinced a free agent or maybe convince somebody to give us a shot. And they're going to have to be cheap, right. But maybe that has done some inspiration, or maybe Glenn Taylor will change his entire way of thinking financially and be like, absolutely, let's get Paul George.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pay $12 million into the luxury tax next year.
That's exactly what's gonna happen.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. He's gonna have to have a lot of dead chickens for that to be able to pay off. So I don't think so, unfortunately.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch him next year. I do agree with you. If they add someone in the offseason, a savvy veteran player that can just kind of be there and coach those guys.
Or another guard that could bring it up. So Mike Conley can have...
Yep.
If Mike Conley's in trouble with fouls or anything.
That, and then maybe adding like a piece or two at the deadline. I don't know how all that works, like the Mavs did, but adding maybe an extra piece to get ready for that playoff push, it'll be interesting.
Adding guys like Gafford and Washington are very doable for the Timberwolves next year. But we don't have the draft capital because, again, all of that is still going to Utah for Rudy Gobert.
Yep.
So you're going to have to, unfortunately, dangle somebody like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who next year is probably one of the biggest question marks because he's in the final year of a 2-year, $9 million deal. So do the Timberwolves say, okay, this dude is going to get paid. He is not staying with us next year. We're going to trade him at the deadline, and we're going to try to get this piece, that piece, whatever. Possibly.
Yeah.
But I would hate to see him go. There's also the Naz Reid piece of this, where Naz Reid... As I love him, I do love him, but he's on a 3-year, $41 million deal. He has a player option in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Do they look at that and say, especially if things start off slow for him, or maybe he's scorched earth, like killing everybody, and they're like, well, we got to sell him because he's at his absolute peak right now. And if we trade him now, we can get somebody else in here that can replace some of that stuff. Because you don't necessarily need the amount of... It's funny because we have like really skilled big men, but like it drops off a cliff after Naz Reid.
Oh, for sure.
Like Luka Garza is like the next big man.
Hey, he came in those last minutes. I think he went 3 for 3.
Yeah. So like that's the hard thing is like that top 7 that the Timberwolves have is solid.
Yep.
Is really, really solid. Are we getting a healthy Mike Conley? Are we getting a healthy Cat? Are we getting a healthy Gobert? Are we getting a healthy McDaniels? Like, we injury luck wise, like we did pretty well this year, except for Cat having his knee get ripped up this year. But like, we also need a little bit of injury luck for other people as well.
Well, did
True.
you want to mention what you had talked about Rudy Gobert and his on and off the court?
Yeah,
So-
yeah. You know
'Cause
what?
that was pretty crazy.
I
Or at least I thought so.
I feel like, again, Rudy Gobert is the league punching bag because everybody just wants to make fun of him and everybody wants to tease him.
I didn't know it was that bad. Honestly, I just
He
they're ripping on him, but
he's just always gotten this, and the Kendrick Perkins stuff of how he feels like he should not be able to vote for Defensive Player of the Year anymore because he gave this to Gobert, and Gobert should be ashamed and give his awards back. I just want to point this out, and this is from Zach Cram. He's on The Ringer. Love that guy. He's an amazing writer. So I just want to go on some on-off stats for Rudy Gobert. So this is basically calculating when he's on the floor, what is his impact? When he's off the floor and they have any other lineup in, what's going on? So there's a lot of averages. With him on the floor, the Wolves were plus 49. And when he was off the floor, it was minus 39.
Is that the season or the series?
The playoffs.
Playoffs.
okay.
The playoffs. So he's one of the top-ranked on-off players in the entire NBA this playoffs. Like,
Yeah,
he
that's
was
incredible
absolutely amazing.
numbers.
And even if you want to get it smaller, if you want to get a smaller sample size of this, and you look at just against the Mavs, when he was not on the court, they were minus 21. Minus 21 points. His impact is way more than you can ever imagine.
Yeah, I was gonna say even when you're watching him and you're thinking he's playing bad, like clearly those numbers suggest it doesn't matter how bad he's playing at the moment, he's still making an impact.
Yeah, even with those stone hands, sometimes
He can't.
he's doing stuff.
Listen, he can't catch a ball, but he can defend.
Yeah.
But he can defend. Even there's a further breakdown of like the Mavs scored 109.9 points per 100 possessions when Gobert is on the floor, which when you look at the NBA as a whole for the regular season, that would have been 25th in the NBA. That
Mhm.
would have been really bad. That's Charlotte Hornets bad. I always rip on the Hornets. I
Yeah,
feel
you
bad.
do.
Man.
It was
Sorry
Atlanta
about
for
that.
a while. Now
Sorry
it's the
about that.
Hornets.
Picks a team a day and he's just like they're toast.
But when Gobert is off the floor, that points per 100 possessions goes up by almost 20,
Yeah.
which is literally better than the Celtics record that they just had this regular season.
That's wild.
He's amazing.
That is wild.
He's absolutely amazing as a defensive player, and his presence is felt. And all this slander because he's such low-hanging fruit for
Well, it's
people.
all like he gets burned one time by Luka at the end of the game, and all of a sudden, why is he get? Everyone's asking why he's Defensive Player of the Year. It's like well, one
Right.
play doesn't.
Right, but this is the revisionist history stuff that always ends up happening after the regular season awards, because in playoffs this always happens. This always happens where the MVP doesn't win the championship every single year, and then everyone is up in arms when the MVP, like Jokic this year in the second round. Oh, he didn't win the NBA Finals. He shouldn't have been MVP. That's stupid.
Yeah.
They deserve it because this is how they played in the regular season, and statistically speaking, these were the best players. But again, that was just most of the coverage when it got over, was everybody just ripping on Rudy Gobert, and I just like it is inarguable to say that he does not have a massive impact on this team. Like, no, he should not have shot the ball like 8 times in the first quarter of that closeout
That was
game.
an odd.
It was 100% a problem.
That's where I think Edwards needed to be the aggressive one again, right after we won doing that. Like,
Exactly.
True.
Whatever. We
Exactly.
don't need to get into that part, but
Either way, this team needs to roll it back next year with this squad. Hope you can add some guys. Hope you can find, again, some buyout guys at the deadline that are getting bought out of their teams, and they got to find somebody quick, and you can sign them to a league minimum for just 1 year. Find that. Find those guys and just see what you can do and piece it together, because this Mavs thing, like all of these Western Conference teams, except for the Nuggets, I don't think can continue the way that it is currently constructed. Math-wise, it doesn't work. Ability, I mean, the Mavs are on an all-time heater
Yeah.
with the way that the team is constructed. So go Wolves, Wolves back next year.
Wolves back.
Well, you still got OKC too. They'll be
OKC
up
as well.
there.
OKC as well. But we'll have a little hams for Wolves back.
Wolves back. I agree. Hams. Not a sponsor, but could be.
That's right. They could be.
I wish you guys can see this ham shirt that Matt's wearing right now.
Guys, I look gorgeous.
It is a fantastic shirt. We were all in the same location when he bought that shirt, and he just went and bought one all by himself and didn't.
Yeah, a little disappointed you didn't.
Didn't go on to tell us that he was doing it.
The Wolves were getting slapped around, and I needed a way to make myself happy, and this is how I made myself happy. And Sam looked away for a minute.
You're looking mighty happy in it right now.
You are looking good, buddy. You are
great.
looking good.
I feel great.
Celtics, Mavs.
In odd series, no, like
I would say so.
kind of an odd matchup for a Celtics team that feels like they have everything to lose.
Yep.
Well, yeah, but that's the Celtics all the time. We're
is-
the best team ever, but we like to play down to
Right.
everyone else's level and lose it for ourselves. So I think that's where it's going to be an interesting series. The Mavericks are, as you were saying, they're burning right now.
They're clicking
great.
right now.
Yeah.
Very, very well. Very, very well. 2 games played this season. Celtics shot 51% from the field, 40% from 3 with 21 field free throw attempts, and then the Mavericks at 45% from the field, 31 from 3, and 16 free throw attempts. Tatum had 35 points per game, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, and Luka had 35, 15, and 12. Kyrie with 21, 5, and 2. Brown, 29, 5, and 4. You're always going to get those kind of numbers from Luka, Kyrie, Tatum, and Brown, I feel like. Who is the difference maker in this series on both sides? What do you think?
I think you also forgot to mention the Celtics won both of those games too. But
Did they? I didn't see that part. Okay.
Well, I think for the Mavericks side of things, I think it's got to be Derek Jones Jr. because he's going to be the guy that is stuck on Tatum and Brown for the most part.
Yep.
yeah,
And then if you look back at those games, he only had 3 points, 1 rebound, and 2 assists between those 2 games. It was not good. He did not play very well. He had a lot of fouls. Really, really struggled to stay in front of those guys. But he has been so clutch for them this entire postseason as a corner 3 guy and a great defender and everything like that. But this Celtics team is way different shooter-wise and being able to spread the floor.
Yeah.
So is he going to be able to keep Brown and Tatum under 30 every game?
I really think it comes down to the Celtics win it or the Celtics lose it. The Mavs are great and they're playing really well now, but the Celtics have just too much. Like
Porzingis is back.
They have Porzingis back.
That
They
will
have
be-
Al Horford still playing amazing right now.
He just turned 38, by the way.
and
Saw
those
that.
aren't and then they got their 2 star players of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown,
Yeah.
who can give you 40 any night, really.
True. Celtics postseason stats through 14 games, 111 points per game, 10.2 turnovers, and 43 rebounds. I had an old school coach in high school, and he said if you won 3 of those, or what was it? It was free throw attempts, turnovers, and rebounds. Obviously, you need to score more points than the other team to win the game. But if you won,
Popovich thing.
yeah. Did you guys want? Yeah, we scored more points. If you win 2 out of those 3, and I didn't get into those stats, I really would have had to do some digging because I don't think they're just going to be like, oh yeah, they won 2 out of 3, they win the game. Celtics 10 turnovers. This is through 14 games of the postseason. 43 rebounds per game, 21 free throw attempts on 79% free throw shooting. The Mavs 31 rebounds, 12 turnovers, and 23.8 free throw attempts on 72% shooting. The Mavs did have a couple extra games in there.
Right. So, I mean, obviously this has been on cruise control for the Celtics.
Yeah.
And I go back to some of those X factors for each team. I still think Derek Jones really, really needs to play the best he's ever played in his entire career in this series to really give the Mavericks a great shot defensively. Because obviously Luka and Kyrie will cook, but you really need Derek Jones. You need some kind of defender that can shut things down. From the Celtics side of things, and it's so funny, I think it's got to be Drew Holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's who I forgot to mention, and I actually think he was a big piece of why they're so much better this year than they have been, in my opinion.
In their 2 games this season, he was 14 points per game, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists. But I don't think that goes to show like his defensive presence out there. I think that's what the big thing. And if you can get 12 to 16 from him, that's dangerous.
And again, that's what I'm going to focus defense-wise because these are obviously 2 incredibly offensive capable teams. We already talked about Tatum, Brown, Luka, and Kyrie. They're going to get their shots. They're going to get their points. All of that. If Drew Holiday can maybe keep Kyrie, again, Kyrie averaged 27 in that last series, can keep Kyrie to 23 or 22 or even around 20, or can maybe give them some fits, whatever it is, I mean, that's massive. That's going to be absolutely huge for the Celtics team that has a bunch of guys. That's the thing about the Celtics. They have way more guys to throw at the Mavs than the Mavs have to throw at the Celtics.
Yep.
Derek White, Drew Holiday, Jason Tatum when he feels like it. He doesn't really feel like it that often.
True.
Jaylen Brown is a tryhard, so he's definitely going to be in there trying to muck stuff up. Porzingis coming back is going to be huge. I don't know
Al Horford, throwing him in the mix.
How effective is Al Horford really going to be in this series? To go against Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively, these young legs that have been alley-ooping like crazy lately.
He just needs to come
how
in,
are they going to affect
a few minutes, hit his threes when they get open.
Right, but is he going to have those opportunities?
I mean, it probably won't be as much, but he'll have a few. And if he hits them, it still changes momentum, and we'll see how it goes. I mean,
so one of the biggest questions that I have, and this has been all playoffs long for the Mavericks, has been guarding that pick and pop and pick and lob attack that the Mavericks have. Which, again, just watching my beloved Timberwolves just get absolutely cooked on that time.
They had no clue what to do with it. No clue.
But the Mavs this playoffs have 54 alley-oop dunks. The next closest team is the Nuggets with 9.
Wow.
This is the difference.
Wow.
This is the difference. And I believe before they started the series against the Timberwolves, they were, I think, like 40. I think they're at 40 or 41.
I think you're correct, yeah.
Which felt like a lot more than just like 10 that they've had against the Timberwolves. But this is what they do. They slow the game down. Kyrie and Luka, they get into that action with Lively and Gafford and Maxi Kleba, which is insane to me. But they'll just eviscerate you. They'll get the switch, they'll attack, they'll step back into 3, or they'll lob it right over your head. And a team like the Timberwolves never adjusted, and they just kept getting burned and burned and burned. The Celtics, I'm going to make a massive assumption, are a much more intelligent defensive team and much more experienced since they've been to the finals as many times as they had.
Yep.
They have. I just think in general that they're going to be a little bit more prepared for this offense. So
I agree.
So I think what you're going to have to see is how is Derek White and how is Drew Holiday going to handle this? Because they're the ones that are going to get pushed back, get switched. Does that mean there's going to be help from Tatum coming over?
Yeah.
Does that mean there's going to be help from Kristaps Porzingis coming over? Like, how is that actually going to look, and how are they going to stop that alley-oop attack? Because right now, it feels like it's unbeatable.
Yeah.
Every single time that they would roll down into the paint, everybody on the broadcast could see it.
Oh, it's effortless.
Everybody knew exactly what was going to happen, and I'm just screaming in glitters at the TV. And of course, they nail it.
Lob. Yep.
So, like, how are these guys going to defend it? Now you've got Drew Holiday, who's probably one of the best defenders in the league at that kind of stuff. But that's going to be the key. If they can stop that pick and roll, that's really their best shot at this.
True. I totally agree with all that. It's going to be a fun series to watch. Lots of offensive power. So we'll see what happens.
Well, another thing is, like, when you're looking at Porzingis, talk about the elephant in the room here.
Yep.
He hasn't been with his team for a while now, and they're humming, and they're beating teams up.
Yeah.
Is that going to be a problem when he gets back into the lineup?
Well, are they beating teams up?
All right, that Pacers sweep is
this up a
very
little bit.
deceiving.
Yeah.
With when you actually watch the games and you're like, why is Andrew Nembhard scoring 3 points on you guys?
They even let the
Like-
Heat steal a win without Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
Granted, they shot really well that
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, they shot like 67%.
And so did the
or something
Pacers.
like
So
that.
let's
Yeah.
give credit where it's due. But
It'll be interesting when Porzingis comes back. Well, he's going to be back. One, are they going to start him? Which I think you have to.
Yep.
How are his legs going to respond to the pick and roll, the lobs, all that stuff? Like, and I said that I think on our very first podcast. How if the Wolves made it this far, I think he would have struggled guarding Cat, and he would have struggled guarding Gobert just because of being out that long. So it'll be interesting. I have Celtics in 6. I think it's going to go 6 games.
that's exactly where I was going with it. Is Celtics in 6.
Come
Come on, Matt, change it up.
I am going to change it up because I don't think this Celtics team can get over the hump. I just don't.
You
I don't
just
see
think they're
it.
going to crash and burn.
I do because I've seen them crash and burn so many times.
Yeah.
I don't think the way that this team is constructed that they're going to be able to effectively stop Kyrie and Luka enough. Again, this team has got some insane momentum for them with this Western Conference Finals run that they've been on, and I just feel like I'm not gonna bet against Luka until I see it. Until I see it for myself. This is my
Until they've
Until you
already
see him
lost.
struggle
Yeah.
and lose.
this is my Patrick Mahomes theory.
Well, I'm
now.
not betting against Luka. I'm just betting that 2 guys aren't going to beat 6 guys.
But this has been the whole playoffs. This has been the whole.
Sounds like
It
you're
has,
leaning
but
towards.
nobody else has had 6 as big of offensive powers as the Celtics have.
I really see this Mavericks team as very well coached. I think way better coached than the Celtics are. I'm not a big Missoula supporter. I think Jason Kidd has been absolutely phenomenal getting this team together.
You don't like the little my shot, your shot, my shot, your shot. Let's jack up a 3 that doesn't make any sense.
And that's exactly why I think the Celtics are going to struggle in this.
All right.
Because they are going to play exactly into the Mavericks' hands. Mavericks want to slow stuff down. Celtics want to run and gun. Celtics shoot that absolutely putrid three-pointer with 12 seconds left on the shot clock. Mavericks are just going to roll. Because then they're going to get to the paint. They're going to do step-back threes. They're going to start accumulating those points, and then you just get buried. Then you just get buried by that team. So I'm going to go against the grain. I think this is Mavericks. My gut says 5.
Whoa.
Wow.
I'm going to go coward's way out and say 6.
Mavs and
We're holding
5.
you to
Dude.
5.
All right.
You're going with your first one.
I feel like
I'll put a case of hams on that.
beautiful.
I'll put a case of hams on that.
Okay.
I want to watch multiple good games, so I hope it goes in 6. But I do have to say, Taylor, I'm sorry. I do not want your Celtics to win.
I know.
Honestly, I would love it if the Celtics won, so then we can never have another. Can Jason Brown
We can
Jaylen
move on.
Brown and Jason Tatum, can they play together?
They'll still
Crap
find
anymore?
something stupid to talk about with those two. So
We do need to graduate from that as a sports radio topic. That happens way too often where they're talking about that. They clearly complement each other very, very well. But again, I don't think the Celtics can make adjustments. I think the Mavs can make adjustments. The Mavs had the absolute road to hell. The Celtics got to just like skip through the wildflowers to get here.
Mavs in 5 for Matt. Celtics in 6 for Trevor and I.
Yep.
I got the Celtics. Matt has the Mavs.
Yes.
Case of hams on the line.
Case of hams.
Deal.
Deal.
You said you wanted to graduate from that kind of sports talk. And we're going to
Yes.
move into a different sport. Your guys' Vikings signed the other JJ that we're going to be talking about to a 4-year, $140 million contract extension. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah, and I believe 110 guaranteed.
Oh, hang on.
Am I
Let's back
right?
up real quick. Quiz question. Sorry about that. Quiz question. So the Boston Celtics are only the fourth team in the Eastern Conference Finals to be favored. There was 3 other teams. 98, 2013, and 2011. Who were those teams, and did they win the championship or not?
Well, 2011 and 2013 have to be the Heat.
Okay.
2011 they lost.
2.
The Spurs.
Okay.
2013 they
Should have won, I would think.
No,
that
they
year, don't
lost
they?
to the Spurs in 2013 too, didn't they?
They won in 13.
Won in 13.
They lost in 11.
Lost in 11.
And then 98.
98. That's Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they won.
And they won.
Obviously,
That was
yeah,
wild. That was Jordan. We don't need to touch on this too much. Jordan was only favored once
I was going to say
in
that's
the
only
NBA
one.
Finals.
That's super
That's weird.
So the Celtics are the 4th team.
And people call him the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And on to the
Okay.
next topic of conversation.
Don't get too many people
Okay.
hating on you.
All right, boys, take it away. JJ, 4 years, 140 mil. Contract extension. It's a lot of money.
Good stuff, though. I mean,
Are you excited? Yeah, what's going on?
Of course, we're excited. Can anyone argue that he's? Your only argument for that he's not the best wide receiver in the league, you still have to put him at 1 or 2. Like, you can't. I can't even say anyone in the world should ever drop him to the 3rd best wide receiver.
I'm going to start this off. I'm not the biggest football follower. I follow the Vikings mostly because of you guys and just the people I'm around. I do like watching the game. I'll say this. He is a freak athletically, and he can pretty much do whatever he wants in the air with the ball and catch kind of whatever he wants. So from a fan's perspective, I'm excited he's staying, and they signed him. But you guys know the ins and outs a little bit more about all that other stuff. So
I mean, if A.J. Brown's getting $32 million, Jefferson
Yeah.
could have 35.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking he might be able to get 35.
Yeah.
What is the alternative? Because and again I was texting these guys. I'm fired up about this. Because it's been an entire offseason of leaked, no source stories about how Justin Jefferson is on the trading block because we can't get this extension done, and it wasn't done last camp, so it's not going to work, and yada, yada, yada. And Adam Schefter, several teams are reaching out to the Vikings about trading for Justin Jefferson, and there was a bunch of stuff around draft time where it was like, well, maybe they'd be best if they just traded Justin Jefferson to the Patriots, and maybe they can get their pick out of it. It's the dumbest thing in the world to be like, you have an absolute world beater athlete on your team, young guy that you have drafted that has almost averaged 100 yards per game to start off of his career. He has won Offensive Player of the Year. He obviously got hurt quite a bit last year, but absolutely is an amazing athlete. And to just say, well, shucks, we got to pay him some money. Oh, bummer. This is what you do. The Eagles gave A.J. Brown all of that money. The Lions gave Amon-Ra St. Brown all that money. The freaking Dolphins have $58 million tied up between Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
And that team is ass. Sorry for the first cuss word, but I'm fired up. I told you folks.
Yeah, they're 4 and 5 for the highest paid receivers right now.
Exactly. And
Jason,
what's that team going to do?
Waddle and Hill?
Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill.
Dang.
Got a ton of money tied up in them.
Yeah, 28.25 for Jalen and 30 for Tyreek.
So again, I ask, what is the alternative for Justin Jefferson if you're not going to sign him? What is the alternative? You think he's going to take a hometown discount?
No.
You think he's not going to take all the money that he can possibly get for his career? You think he doesn't deserve that money?
Well, especially when we just dropped an expensive quarterback, so we're no longer. That's not where all our money is tied up anymore.
Exactly. And now we can do what all those other teams have been doing. We got a rookie quarterback on a rookie deal, which is the most valuable thing that you could possibly have. Is J.J. McCarthy good? I have no freaking idea. I'm really, really hopeful he is.
I'd hope
They're
so,
probably
too.
not paying Darnold that much either, so
No,
you're not paying him that much.
No, he's $5 million a year, or no, wait, it's 1 year, $10 million, right?
Yeah, and Darnold's not going to be on this team next year, so it really doesn't matter. But this is what those teams. So San Francisco, this is what San Francisco does. They pay Debo, they pay Christian McCaffrey, they pay Trent Williams. The Brandon Ayuk thing for them is up in the air. We'll see what actually happens with that. I would be shocked if he got traded, but they're clearly going to have to pay him. George Kittle is one of the highest cap hits for a tight end in the NFL because they have Brock Purdy making lunch lady money on their team. They can afford to do that. Now, McCarthy's going to make quite a bit more than Brock Purdy next year, so obviously you can't do that. But you have to pay these guys. You have to pay somebody like Justin Jefferson. You're letting Randy Moss walk away again. That's basically what it would be. You're trading away Randy Moss and you're squandering his talent. You're trading away Stephon Diggs. Like, you're getting rid of these high talents just because you're going to have to pay them. What did you think was going to happen? That they were always going to cost this little for the rest of their career? And then on top of that, for a cap hit, since we're talking about how great this all is, the cap doesn't spike until 2026. So it's not even affecting the team all that much. So they can add some pieces. These next couple of years is where their window is going to be to make their championship runs.
Yeah.
They have to be all in. They cannot squander this time because, again, McCarthy is going to have to get paid soon. And when the quarterbacks got to get paid, man, they get paid like $50 million a year.
Yeah.
Even when they're mediocre. Tua's going to get like $45 million a year soon.
See Darnold even with his first, or in my opinion, his first good team that he's played with.
Yeah, he played on the 49ers last year, but that,
he did he play?
He got in there in like week 18.
So yeah, no, not really.
No, you're right. Darnold is throwing two weapons that can actually do something with the ball now.
And he has an offensive line. I'm not saying ours is the best offensive line, but like an offensive line that's been better than what he's had.
Yeah.
Growing up, I loved the book Moneyball. Love the movie as well. Great movie. Book's much better.
That is a good movie. Baseball movie, right?
Yes.
About the Oakland A's.
About the Oakland A's.
Yeah.
And the whole thing was the Oakland A's can't spend money because they have the worst ownership in all of baseball. Now, with the way that they've handled the whole Las Vegas thing, I would probably say they're the worst ownership in sports. But I digress. Another topic for another day. But the whole thing about Moneyball is this team has to cobble together these players that can replace the production of these players that have now left their team and signed massive deals. So Jason Giambi, whatever.
I was going to try to pull a name, but I wasn't even. I was like, nah, I'm going to mess
Jason
up.
Giambi, Jason Isringhausen.
Who was the third baseman?
Tejada.
No, he was a shortstop. Who was the third base? Eric, wasn't it Chavez?
Chavez. But he was a part of that team.
Oh, he was. Oh, I didn't
He
know
was a
that.
part of that team.
Okay.
But you have to. So basically, the whole thing was we have to find ways to replace the production, not replace the player. That kind of a thing. The Vikings are not in that situation. The Vikings need to pay these dudes. They can afford to pay these dudes. They can remain competitive. My goodness, the Minnesota taxpayers paid for half of that stadium. Do the Wilfs not have money? I think they got money for it. They'll be just fine if they have to pay into the luxury for a little bit. And again, what you said, Kirk Cousins rolled off the books. We do not have to pay that man anymore. We don't have to pay any quarterback more than like probably $5 or $6 million for the next couple of years. Outstanding, lovely. Well, McCarthy,
10 this year.
yeah. For Darnold, obviously a lot
Yeah.
more. But I just think when are you ever going to go for it? If not, when you have the stars in your building.
You kind of have to in the next 2 years, like you said.
When you have the established players in the entire NFC North next year is going to be up. The Lions, the Packers, the Bears all got much, much better. The Vikings have to remain competitive. They have to give it a shot. Darisaw is going to be up for a big payday soon. We have Dallas Turner who's going to have to get paid at some point. We just paid the guy from Houston. We're going to have to start paying out a bunch of money here. We're going to have to figure this out. And to say Justin Jefferson doesn't deserve that because you think that maybe you can cobble together like 85% of his production with one or two other guys, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because it hasn't always happened. And I know the Chiefs are the counterpoint to all of this. Okay?
Well, I mean, there's a few teams that are. You could go even back to the Patriots or anything where you can throw any receiver in there and it just works out for them.
Because they have the quarterback.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm not saying we do.
Right.
But
they have the quarterback and they have the coaching staff. And they have the defense to back it up.
yes.
The Vikings, I like McConnell. I think he's a pretty good coach. Is he Andy Reid? Is he Bill Belichick? Maybe. No.
Not yet.
Absolutely not. But there's just like the whole narrative to be like, man, let's do the random drawing to see how we can get Justin Jefferson in a Dallas Cowboys jersey someday, or like get him onto these bigger teams and these bigger markets, whatever, because that'll help the bottom line. it's just idiotic. It's just the stupidest thing in the world, and it drives me absolutely crazy whenever it gets brought up in the Adam Schefters and Shams of the world. Like, it's just the most annoying thing in the world.
So JJ got paid. Good thing. What? So how's their defense looking? Is it going to be all right? Because wasn't that the Vikings thing for a while? Like, hey, we got a good defense, and then.
Well, no, we had a bad defense, and then Flores came in and.
Oh, okay.
Fixed
and
things
we still got
somehow.
Flores.
Made a miracle out of what we had going on.
And they signed a couple good defensive rushers, defensive edge guys.
The rumors are that they're looking really good, or at least the young talent is.
We drafted Dallas Turner. Harrison Smith is coming back next year. That's got to get you excited, right?
Oh yeah, pumped.
He's like as old as Al Horford at this point, I believe.
Probably.
But no, I mean, I like Flores. I think he's a really good defensive coach. I mean, that thing imploded at the end of the year, though. So that defense is going to be really, really fascinating.
But we are looking a bit different this year, and
what
for better or worse, time will tell. Yeah.
What other pieces now? Since you signed your guy, what other pieces need to be added, you think? Like before the season starts, or maybe even halfway, or at the trade deadline. Where are you guys going with that?
I think it was huge to pick up Aaron Jones. That's obviously not
running
something
back,
we need
right?
Now, but we already did it, and that's going to be really nice to have. Especially with the pass threat that he gives us too.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Jones replacing Alexander Madison is such a leaps and bounds like jump up that I think it's going to be like it's going to be like really a night and day difference between those guys.
Was Madison Mr. Fumble last year?
Yeah.
Madison was that him?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Madison was Mr. Fumble.
You like how I know these guys by like that, not like their actual names.
But also you get a healthy Brian O'Neill, you get a healthy Christian Darrisaw.
Oh, you just jinxed us.
I know. You get Jordan Addison in the second year. Obviously Jefferson coming back healthy. Hawkinson, he's going to start off slow this year since he literally tore his ACL in the last game
Tight end
of the year last year. Yeah.
That man's tough. He makes catches anyways.
I think it'll just be really interesting to see how they adapt to McCarthy and because they're going to have to change the way that they play, because I don't think Cousins and McCarthy have very similar playing styles, which again I don't think is a bad thing, but I think it's going to be a bit of a learning curve for them. But this is where you want somebody like Justin Jefferson to basically be that safety valve.
Basically a bailout.
Exactly.
If you need help,
be that guy.
He is a true bailout.
Yep.
Wide out.
Who is going to be able to make the play and get you out of that situation, get you out of those third and longs. How many third and longs have we seen Justin Jefferson get the Vikings out of him during his career?
The only thing I have to say, though, is you cannot do what we did at the end of last season where you throw him one, he's going to get smacked. Do not
across
do that.
the middle.
We can't take an injury to him.
As long as Nick Mullins is not slinging it out there, we'll be all right.
Yeah.
We'll be all right.
Who's starting game one?
Ooh.
It's got to be Darnold.
I think it's got to be McCarthy.
Really?
I think you can't even play this Darnold game. I think you got to.
Then why do you sign Darnold?
Yeah, is Darnold there to coach? Is he there to mentor? Like, what they bring him on for? You think?
Quarterback competition.
Okay.
You don't
I like
think Mullins
competition.
was enough?
No, I don't think Nick Mullins is enough. No, I think Darnold was like, well, because again they signed him before the NFL draft.
Yeah.
So like, it's not a guarantee that obviously you were going to get him. I mean, look at all the quarterbacks that went in front of McCarthy in the NFL draft. So it wasn't always a guarantee that you were going to be able to even get him in that spot. So if they weren't going to be able to get him in that spot, then they were going to need somebody to roll into next year. Again, thank goodness it's not. There is another option other than Sam Darnold, because he's just such damaged goods. I just don't think it'll ever come back for the poor guy.
Still have never seen him play on a good team.
He,
How can you not play good on this team? That seems almost impossible with this offense to not be able to do anything.
well, if you're Sam Darnold, you'll find a way.
Okay. Yeah. Really have high doubts in him. Okay.
Sam Darnold. What if he plays good, and then he leaves and gets his bag and gets paid just stupid money because he has one great year with the Vikings because of the man they just paid.
He's getting the Nick Foles deal.
Yeah.
Win a
Hey,
Super
Nick
Bowl.
Foles is the best playoff quarterback we've ever seen.
Nick Foles is the greatest quarterback we've ever seen. Yeah.
Don't know about that part.
Good joke. I hate the Eagles.
Wild.
I do too.
Anything left on the JJ situation that you want to get off your chest before we sign off?
Not really about JJ, but we were talking about this earlier. How do wide receivers get paid so much?
Yeah,
I came in late to that conversation with you guys.
the amount of money, the way that they have this structured for like the top, again, it goes by position, so very different than all other sports. So like the market is set for each position, and it's like you're telling me Travis Kelce, who makes $17 million, is that what it is a year?
17.1 or something.
17.1 million, and JJ is getting 35. You're telling me Travis Kelce is worth half of what Justin Jefferson is worth.
And I know running backs aren't paid much, but like McCaffrey.
That is wild.
McCaffrey's at, what was it? 17.2.
Yeah.
And then, it's like.
And then on the defensive side, Bosa's got that $30+ million thing.
34,
and then,
I think.
Yeah, and then Jair Alexander is at 21.8.
Yeah.
How are those even relatively close?
That is crazy.
In that position side of things. Like, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I was telling Matt earlier, this was like if you had like a power forward on your basketball team that's getting plus 40 a night, and yet they're not paying him because he's not a shooting guard.
Yeah. You're
So
not in the right position. You're going to get 10
$10
mil, and the other guy's going to get 25 mil.
Yeah.
Even Penei Sewell, who's now at 28 because he just signed that deal, 100% he deserves that money. I can't believe it's more. It's not more.
Yeah.
Like, having a quality, like, all-pro left tackle, there's, like, 2 teams that have that on there. They have, like, there's, like, not that many good offensive tackles in the NFL.
When you go into the NFL, you just want to be a QB or a wide receiver. Don't even bother with the other spots.
What's Burrow's 62? Is that what it is?
65?
65 million.
62.9, you're
yeah,
right.
62.9.
A year?
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
QB's the way to go.
Oh,
QB is the way to go.
QB is the way to go, and that's why I'm going to be teaching my son right off the bat to become a QB.
Or a lefty pitcher in baseball.
It's going to be one of those two.
They got it. They got it.
That Otani money.
Turn him into Randy Johnson.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
well,
Smack a bird.
Well, hate to break it to Matt, but he's not going to be 6'3".
Maybe not Randy Johnson. But.
No, Randy Johnson was taller than that. Well, fellas, the podcast, episode number 3, wraps up. Good talk. A lot to look forward to. We got the NBA Finals coming up. And then when does all football stuff's going on right now, right? Everyone's at camps?
Yeah.
And then that starts in August or September? August.
Yep.
Sweet.
Well, the good news is that we'll have some Olympics talk and some other stuff coming up here a little bit. Maybe some NBA draft stuff. I got to do a little more studying on that.
Yep.
But we'll for sure get that field goal kick done.
Yep.
Don't want you guys bailing on that since you committed live on air.
I am currently working on that, back mobility right now as we're sitting here. So
I might have to go 1 for 1 so that when my knee falls apart.
Are you walking off if you hit
it.
one? You're just going to walk off? Yeah, I'm done.
Well, I also made the comment to the 30-yarder. I might as
Yeah,
well
you did.
try it.
Yeah, you did.
Might as well. But also, we want your questions.
Yep.
Drop them in. Let us know. Spread the word. Call Hams for us and demand that they give us some free stuff.
Just absolutely bombard Hams. Hey, Hams did get back to us, though. We got to tell people that. They did get back to us. The Facebook individuals were a little bit nicer than the Instagram individuals. So that's exciting. We'll still drink their stuff and still wear their shirts, and I may or may not have bought a sweatshirt. So
there you go.
Hey, we're taking the right steps.
To get that same shirt Matt has right now.
That is a nice
That's
shirt.
looking lovely.
It's awesome, isn't it?
It is.
It's probably darn comfortable, too.
Oh, it's nice.
Love it.
Terrific fat guy Hawaiian shirt. Oh,
man, he's going to wear that every single day in the summer.
Golfing
just
in that
perfect.
every day.
Ooh.
Every single day. Well, appreciate it, guys. Like Matt said, like, comment, subscribe, share. You can rate the podcast on Apple Podcasts. You can rate it on Audible, YouTube as well, and Spotify. Do all those things. Really appreciate the support. We've been getting great feedback from you guys. If you want to hear us talk about anything, don't be afraid to reach out to any of us, or there'll be Q&As on my Instagram accounts, and I'll be posting those throughout the week as well. So appreciate it. Take it easy, and we'll be back. See ya.